And now we're joined by Nick Gates. Nick, you got Schmelk here over at the Quest Diagnostics Training Center. We miss you guys over here. How's everything going?
It's going good. It's a little bit of a different thing being at the stadium, but we've gotten used to it so far. But it's going good.
That's good to hear, man. Well, I guess first things first, just general question. How are things going for you and your offensive line group through these first 3 weeks of camp?
I think everything's going good. We're just, we're still new with the new system and everything, but we're all trying to, we're all doing a good job working together and getting everybody on the same page and, working as a team. So I think we're doing good in that aspect.
Obviously everything is kind of tightened up here with the way the offseason went, and training camp's a little bit shorter, no preseason games. So what are you and your guys doing to get that new system down so you are ready when the regular season starts in just less than 3 weeks now against Pittsburgh?
Yeah, it's just a lot of film study and things like that. We don't have very many reps that we can, on the field-wise, that we could take and, with Indy and stuff like that, and to be able to perfect our craft. So a lot of us, we get in there early before meetings and watch the film and do all that and, make sure we're trying to do it right and make it look good.
In that way, how do you think, now that you look back on it, did the virtual offseason and all the work you guys did on Zoom, how did that help you guys get ahead a little bit and have you ready to go when you got back here for your in-person training camp?
Mentally and, knowing the playbook, it did a good amount for us, being able to introduce us to the playbook early. But, just technique-wise, we got a new coach, we got new technique, and, that kind of, sucks that you can't get in there and, work that during the off-season so we could, come in during training camp and be able to perfect that craft. So that was a little hump in the road, but I think we're getting there.
Well, take me behind the curtain a little bit. You talk about new technique. Are you talking in regards of how you're working together in the offense? Or are you talking about literal blocking technique, where your hands go, how you punch? What's different with Mark Colombo?
Just our footwork. He's big into, the run footwork and, doing a certain, technique. I don't really know what else to say, but, yeah, just a certain technique that he likes. And, it's different than from last year, but, he knows what he's talking about, and I think it's going to help us out a lot.
What has it been like working with Mark? You look out there, and he looks like one of you guys, right? He's gigantic, he's big, he's loud, he's into it. He's a former player, was a good offensive lineman in his own right when he played for the Cowboys. What has it been like being coached by him and learning from Mark Colombo?
It's awesome. Having a coach that played, 10-plus years in the league, it's always good to have, because, he understands. He went through it all. He went through back when there was 2 days, and he said that was some of the hardest things he's done. But he played, real grown man football back then. But it's good. He understands, and he pushes us, and, it's just nice that he knows what he's talking about, and, because he's done it, and, he's played it, and he's gone through exactly what we're going through.
Does it help
awesome.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Nick. Does it help his ability to teach, too, that he can, physically get in there and physically show you himself what he wants you to do? Does that make it easier for you guys to learn and understand what he's trying to teach you?
Yeah, so I learned that way a lot faster than I do with board work or things like that. When I rep it and do it over and over, I feel like that's a lot of things with most people. But it's, being able to just see it, too, and be able to, all right, that's I didn't move my foot this right. The correct way, and, he did it, and it's just visually, it's really good to see and, to be able to look at.
Offensive line play, Nick, and you know this, it's about you guys working together. You guys can be great individual. If you don't work with chemistry as a group, it's not going to work. How much of that is feel in terms of just having a feel for in this scheme, using the techniques that Mark Colombo's teaching you, that you have to kind of know exactly what the guy next to you is going to do? And how has it been trying to acquire that feel in what we already talked about is kind of a condensed practice schedule?
It's just being able to trust your guy to the left and right, knowing you're going to get his job done, and knowing he's going to be there when, you make a certain call or the call's made. He's going to be able to get his job done. He's going to be able to fit with you and move guys out of the hole and things like that. The biggest thing is just trust. Just trusting your guy to your left and right. I think we've built a pretty good trust. Will, me, and Zeitler, all these guys have been together, since the last 2 years. So that kind of helps with the inside, knowing each other and things like that.
What has been the adjustment for you moving over and getting some of these snaps at center during practice?
I'd say the biggest thing is just telling everybody what to do, and mentally, it's a bigger mental load on the center. I never really quite understood how much more of a mental load it is, and having to tell everybody where to go and pointing the mic and things like that. So it's that's probably the biggest adjustment to me.
Yeah, Joe Judge said the other day, talking to us on one of these Zoom calls, that he's making sure the defense is giving you different looks. So you're going to see the different things that you're probably going to see at some point during the regular season, and he wants you to see them for the first time now rather than in live games in September or October. So what has it been like getting your eyes on this Patrick Graham defense and using all the mental preparation and work you're doing during the week to make sure those calls are right with Daniel Jones over the course of practice?
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, he that Miami defense that he was running last year, they run a lot of different things. A lot of they go from dime to nickel to base. They'll run all these different things, our base, our sub, or things like that. So just being able to look at it and be able to see what they're in and what they're doing, it helps me out a lot as a young center, new to the position. Like it gets me thinking, it gets me knowing my rules, and I have to know my rules if when they're doing stuff like that.
What's the process like working together with Daniel, both during practice and during the week leading up to these practices? And obviously the big scrimmages is coming on Friday night, so that you guys are on the same page and you're properly working together to make sure all your adjustments and your blocking assignments and all that are set up properly.
Yeah, I mean, I go out there and I make my mic point and things like that and give the call and, try to get it on the same page as Daniel. And if he doesn't like it, he just be like, no, we're going here. He gives us a call. So he has the ultimate trump card. and we just listen to him. If he doesn't like what I'm saying, he'd be like, no, let's go here and do that. And it's kind of nice when your quarterback's back and he knows exactly what to do in every situation and things like that. So, in case I do mess up, he's right there, and he's like, no, let's go here and do this with the line and things like that.
Is that something you and him will work on and talk about, during the week and off the practice field too, or given the schedule and how things are working, is that something you guys kind of just do on the field at this point?
So yeah, today there'll be a couple looks that I wasn't sure about or wondered why he took me off the point and things like that. And I'll just go talk to him and be like, hey, what'd you see? He's like, oh, I saw this, and this. That's why I went here. So, we do talk a little bit about things like that, but for the most part, I'm just, still just trying to be in the playbook, learn exactly what I got to do when I got to do it, to what front and things like that, and what the defense is showing me.
What's the physical challenge at center? And I always talk to Sean O'Hara about this, and he says a lot of times you have to start your block with one arm, right, because you're snapping with the other one. So for someone that last year played guard, played tackle, physically for you at the snap, you're snapping the ball, what's different for you in your technique and getting into your proper position and getting your hands in the right place, having to block right after you snap that football?
I'd say the biggest thing is that nose guard or that deep tackle is literally 5-6 inches from your face. So I'd probably say that's the most difficult part, being able to just get your feet down into the ground, and your left hand, you got to be strong with your left hand and get that thing in there. So when you pull your right hand out, you fit it up in there, and I just think the biggest thing is my footwork and just getting him down and getting the steps down before he could hit me.
How important, Nick, is this scrimmage going to be on Friday? Because you don't have any preseason games, and you're not really going to, you guys are kind of live in practice. You're doing some more physical things, but it's still not a game situation. So how much is this scrimmage on Friday, do you think, going to help get you guys ready for that first Steelers game, where it's going to be the first time, the other team's trying to basically kill you since last December?
I think it'll be huge, just especially for the rookies, because, they haven't had a NFL, preseason snap or anything. Like, they don't have any of that stuff under their belt. So I think it'll definitely help just to see the tempo and, see how fast the NFL is compared to the college level. And I think it'll be good for them. And I think it'll be good for the team just to be able to go out there and, simulate a legit football game, for the first time before we go into a real football game. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Final question, Nick, and there's been some people on the outside that aren't here watching practice and they really know what's going on inside the building that have questioned, some of the ways that Coach Judge is running the team in terms of, the laps and, being kind of a disciplinarian with people making mental mistakes in practice. What's been your reaction and the general reaction to the team, to the level of detail that Joe Judge coaches the team with, and just his lack of tolerance for the type of mental mistakes that'll cost the team wins at some point during the year?
I'm all for it. I think it helps your team become a better football team, a more detail-orientated team, and gets everybody, you know, making sure they know their stuff and doing exactly what they're supposed to be doing when they're supposed to be doing. I mean, and that stuff that helps you win football games. I mean, when you're not getting penalties, you're not holding, you're not, you know, you're not doing all these things in practice. You're not going to be doing them in the game. So I'm all for it. And, you know, I've had it run a couple times already, but you know, I messed up, so I gotta reap the consequences.
And folks, if the offensive lineman doesn't mind running a little bit of a lap, that means the rest of the team's probably good with it too. Just saying.